Good morning, everybody. How are we doing on this Sunday or Saturday? Jesus, it's one of those days. It is a Saturday morning here. We are going to be going through some picks. What we love to do here, as always, we're moving back to Saturdays here, people. I know I keep flip-flopping. Saturday was the day I started, then I decided to do Sundays, but there's a lot of things going on Sundays, so we're going to go ahead and stick to Saturdays because it just seems like the better situation. So here we are, yet again, another week, and we are going for the big tickets here. So if you are new here, first and foremost, I want to thank Underdog Fantasy for the sponsorship today. We are... Ooh, hold on. I am not even in the control panel. What is going on here? There we go. Perfect. There we go. Anyway, so we are here for another week. If you are new here, as always, I want to thank Underdog Fantasy for the sponsorship. And if you use my code TJS at sign up for Underdog Fantasy, you will get a $100 bonus for a $5 wager. Once again, that's Underdog Fantasy. TJS is that code for a $100 bonus on a $5 wager. You don't even got to win, unlike some other apps out there. So today, we are looking at week 17. So like I said, if you are new here, what I do is I tend to pick a bunch of players, about 3 to 4 per matchup of what I like. I usually like going for the overs just because it makes it a little more exciting, keep rooting instead of, rooting that player doesn't do good. It just kind of messes up my Sunday, if you ask me. So in this, I'm going to be doing the full ticket. I'm going to be doing 8 picks per ticket. So this is not the strategic way if you want to make money. Usually you want to do about 2 to 3 picks per ticket if you can. Smaller the better. Build up that bankroll. This is more just to have fun, trying to hit that home run, that small risk, high reward. Or high risk, high reward. However you say it. I'm wagering a little money to win a lot of money. So again, it's less likely to win on these big 8-round tickets. So do what you think is best. Don't feel that you have to copy exactly what I'm doing. This is more to just kind of look at the analytics, look at the teams, look at what we're doing here, and see how we are going to attack this slate. Now, today we actually have a little bit of something special because we do have 2 games on a Saturday. So let's go ahead and start there. Again, I'm going to be very honest here. I am a Houston Texans fan, so I am always going to be a little biased towards the Texans. I try to, have that temper down a little bit, try to, put it in realistic terms. So take that with a grain of salt. But either way, let's go ahead and look at these 2 teams here. So we're going to start with the Chargers. They have allowed the 30th points to quarterback, 26 to running back, 30th to wide receiver, and 27 to tight end. Houston, on the other hand, has 31st against the quarterback, 23rd against the running back, 32nd against the wide receiver, and 22nd against tight end. These are 2 very good defenses on paper. Let's look at how they stand up, not fantasy-wise. Texans are the number 1 defense. Chargers are number 4. Okay, great. How are they against the pass? The Texans are 4th. The Chargers are 6th. Rushing, Texans are 4th. Chargers are 9th. Okay. So looking at this is going to be a very good matchup, in my opinion. The only way that we are going to be able to build this ticket is if we try to attack the weaknesses of both defenses. Starting with the Chargers, Omarion Hampton, he has come back from injury. He has been, lightly coming back, as you can see, 56 yards, 61 yards, now 85 yards and a touchdown. They are working him back in. So I think this is going to be the area that we need to look at if we are going to try to beat the Texans defense. With that, I'm going to take the 77.5 higher. Now, the reason for this is he does catch the ball. Earlier, before he got hurt, look at this. He was 37 yards, 26 yards. On top of the 128 and 44. So that kind of saved his production of a day. Again, a touchdown would have been great here against Washington, but I think that's the week he got hurt. So Philadelphia, they kind of gave him a few touches. Kansas City, they gave him 1. Dallas, they gave him 1. They need to get him more involved in the pass game, especially today. He is going to have to be that check down option because look at where the Texans are when it comes to wide receiver. They're the 32nd, meaning they are the best team. They give the fewest points to the wide receiver position, meaning they should have some guys covered. Now, the main question is Lassiter's availability. So let's see. Is he out yet? Because he was hurt at the start of the week. I haven't been keeping up just because it's been Christmas. You know how that goes. Let's see. Yeah, there's nothing about him on the news or anything. Let's see if it can give me an exact injury report. Okay, so he practiced. I'm going to assume he plays. Texans have a very good passing defense, so with Lassiter and Stingley, I'm going to be looking for the check down options. That's going to be Hampton, so I'm going to be taking Hampton at that higher, and that's where we're going to start our morning here. Now, looking at the Chargers on the other hand, you have to see that they really kind of struggle with the same things at running back and tight end are kind of their quote-unquote weaknesses, if you will, very strong. The only problem with the Texans is that Woody Marks is banged up and Nick Chubb, love Nick Chubb, but he's still Nick Chubb. So let's see where Woody's at. He is clear for week 17. Okay. The problem with Woody, though, is he gets out of games very early. He gets hurt just about every game. He comes out for a little bit. But I think that we are going to be able to still get something out of him today. I am going to take that 9.25 fantasy points. It's a pretty consistent bar for him the last few weeks, even when he's been hurt. He sat out the Raiders game, obviously, but was able to get it there. Didn't need a touchdown, was able to get it there. So I don't know what happened in these games, though. But either way, I think he's going to be able to hit that number today because they're going to have to use him. They're going to have to use him against this Chargers team. So I'm going to go ahead, lock up Woody there. The other two positions are tough. I'm looking at Nico. They have to get this man activated. I mean, 4 targets is not going to feed him. Yeah, he got his 85 and 2 touchdowns, but he is a focal point of this offense, and they need to get him the ball more. At 6.5, I'm willing to take that because, yeah, you're looking at these 2 weeks, the 4 and the 3, but Indy got 10, KC got 8, Vegas he got 9. Those are better defenses than Arizona and I don't want to say Buffalo. Buffalo's pretty good. I don't know what happened in this Buffalo game. They shut them down. Either way, these good defense, not the Raiders, obviously, but, you know, KC and Indy are better defenses, and they still had to target him and feed him the ball. I think that's going to happen here. He's just got to get 7, not out of the realm of possibility, so I'm going to stick it there. It's hard to trust anything else, but because of one thing the Texans have been struggling with is red zone efficiency. With 0 red zone efficiency, they are going to have to kick the ball more. They have been making field goals. He has been making field goals. He's been hitting this number weekly. Literally weekly. I don't know how you don't just take him at that 1.5 field goal made. I think that's a pretty solid one right there. These would be my 4 going in, just because, again, the defenses have been very good both ways. You're looking at both sides of the ball and wondering, how are we going to find ways to get, money out of this? This is the way to do it. I'm confident enough that I'm going to use my 40% profit boost on this, flex it for $5. Let's see what that gets us. $23. Let's fly a little bit. Let's just make a small little ticket, 4 picks. That's what I'm going to do. But these would be my 4 out the gate right now for Saturday. All right, so let's go ahead and collapse that. Let's go over to Baltimore and Green Bay. Exciting game. Both teams still have something to play for, although the Ravens are on a very slim chance of actually doing anything. Lamar Jackson's going to be out. Is it Malik confirmed the quarterback yet? Let me see. Who do they have as quarterback? Yeah, it's going to be Malik Willis. So it is going to be a battle of the backups. Both teams have a lot to play for. And with both teams having a lot to play for, it makes me think that they're going to do a certain thing, but let's just make sure. Let's look at where they're ranked. Baltimore's a little hard because this year they struggled out the gate, but they have gotten much better week after week. So, some of these numbers are going to be a little skewed for that fact, but they are giving up the 14th most points to quarterback, 13th most to running back, 9th most to wide receiver, and 26th to tight end. As for the Packers, much better situation here. 24th to quarterbacks, 27th to running backs, 15th to wide receivers, and 23 to tight ends. As for just overall here, their passing defenses, it looks like the Packers are 10th and the Ravens are 27th. As for overall defense, Ravens 27th. Packers are looking at 6th. As for rushing defense, the Packers are 9th and the Ravens are actually 13th. So with both of these quarterbacks being out, I'm looking at both running backs as very good options here. I'm looking at Josh Jacobs. Yeah, we're looking at the Ravens. They've given up the 13th most points to running backs. This guy has been solid. He has taken some, dings and, injuries. But I think he's going to be good to go in this game just because they need this to possibly win the division. They need this. They need the Bears to lose. So we need to look at this as a way for Josh Jacobs to get his touches, get what he needs, and especially with a backup quarterback in Malik Willis, who has looked better with the Packers, but overall, it's scary. So I'm looking between the rushing and receiving yards and the rushing yards. It's not that big of a jump, but it feels like such a big jump. From 59 yards essentially to 72 yards. Because when you're looking at it, he really only gets 2 receptions a game. But because of Malik Willis being the starter, I could see them just checking the ball down a couple more times here, getting him a couple more yards. I'm going to go for it just because he's already hit this number in the real big games. I mean, I don't know what happened. Did he get hurt in the Giants too? I don't remember. But I know he got hurt in Chicago. So let's hope for health because he needs this win to potentially win the division, to get that home game in Lambeau, which is a huge advantage in the cold rather than having to travel somewhere else where they're not going to perform as well. It's hard for me to trust this man because he is the one 2 weeks ago who didn't score a touchdown and made me blow that 8 ticket. 7 out of 8 right because of this man. That's okay. It's not his fault. But he has been on an absolute tear lately. Busting through these projections, and at 75 yards, got 128 and 2 touchdowns against the Patriots. Cincinnati, we're not going to brag about. Pittsburgh, 94 on 25 touches. I don't think that's sustainable, but then again, with a backup quarterback, they may have to rely on him a bit more. So I'm talking myself into it. 75 yards, the over for Derrick Henry. Again, these are games where people are having stuff to play for. It's not like they've already locked up the division. They've already locked up their playoff spot. They've already locked up the number 1 seed. They are still competing. Well, they've locked up their playoff spot, but they're still competing for that home field advantage. They're still competing to try to, make something better, a better situation in the playoffs. As for Derrick Henry and the Baltimore Ravens, they're still fighting for a spot in the playoffs. So they're going to try to have to give everything through their backup quarterback, who I don't even know who it is. Who is their backup? Huntley. Oh, we got Snoop. Makes me feel a little more confident because it's Snoop now. But because the Packers still give very few points to quarterback, makes me a little nervous. But I think there are some things that they can definitely do here because his projection's 160 passing yards. I think he can do that. I think he can do it. Has a week of practice. Just seems so incredibly low. It's not my favorite pick of the week, but I think you could definitely get 116 passing with Snoop. And then the other way we want to look is we definitely want to get the receivers here. We want to get the receivers of Green Bay involved, but the problem is who is it going to be every week? Is it Reed? Is it Dobbs? I got my feeling on Dobbs. I don't know why. 26 yards just seems way too low for a guy that good. Wrist issue, not concerning. Last week still got 84 and a tutty. So these would be my 4 right there. Pretty solid on all of them, I feel. They all have realistic shots of hitting these numbers, especially because, the money's not really flowing yet. It's still Saturday. Sunday, these lines are probably going to move. They're probably definitely going to move. So, moving on to Seattle at Carolina. This is a game, again, you're looking at the situation. You're looking at the Seahawks. They're currently leading the NFC. They want to lock up that number 1 first-round bye, home field playoffs. They have 2 teams on their ass in their same division, in the Niners and the Rams. They're going to have to go all out against this Carolina team who has upset people like the 49ers. So, let's look at the numbers here. So, as for the Seahawks, 23rd to quarterback, 30th to running back, 22nd to wide receiver, 5th to tight end. As for the Carolina Panthers, they have given up the 25th most points to quarterback, 8th to running back, 21st to wide receiver, 16th to tight end. As for the overalls, okay, let's just see. We're already here. So rushing defense, the Seahawks took third. And currently the Panthers are 19th in rushing. As for passing, let's see here. Panthers are 16th. Seahawks are just on 14th. Overall, we are looking at the Panthers at 17th and the Seahawks at 8th. So obviously it feels like there's definitely going to be a little bit of a obvious play here, and that's to play a little more of the Seattle players. Not a bad thought in my opinion. So the question is where do we go here? Because Seattle is just one of those teams. Running back is obviously a weakness in Carolina, but they're one of those teams that they use Walker, they use Charbonnet, that you can never go in, week out, going, absolutely, this is going to be it. Like Walker on 11 touches last week against the Rams, got 100 and a tutty, had a great day. But the week before at Indy, 9 for 17. Like, that's a huge drop-off. Charbonnet, on the other hand, this man has been vulturing touchdowns all season, but 30, 40, 50, 30. Walker's obviously getting the touches, but how do you trust a running back who got outperformed by his backup in the week before with Indy? It's hard, but I'm going to trust the Kenneth Walker at 51. I'm going to trust that in this team that obviously struggles against the run. They struggle to stop it. They are going to, they're going to need to beat up Carolina. They're going to need to run that ball a lot. They're going to need to do that to open up the passing game in that sense. So we are going to need to focus on that and hope for that and ride that pony and literally just go with Kenneth just to get that 51, and then he'd be done for the day. I don't care. But I think that's a realistic possibility, especially because Carolina gives up the 8th most points to running back. This is the place where he can actually do that. Now, looking at the Seattle team here, their biggest weakness is tight end. But they don't really have a tight end in Carolina that makes me go, oh yeah, this is going to be cake. But they're going to need to move the ball. So the question is, where do we go? We're looking here at running back 30th. Wide receiver looks to be that place that we are really going to try to get them. So we're going to look at Ted McMillan, Young's favorite target, got 10 last week. He's at 7.5 this week. The inconsistency scares me here, but what are they going to do in this game? They're going to have to throw the ball because Seattle's going to be just dominating them, I think. What can we drop the 7.5 to? Let's get it to 6.5 because I just feel like that's much safer. Let's take that higher. And I think that's a pretty solid day for Tet, getting 7 targets within his realm of possibility, especially against good teams. Against the Rams, he only got 2, sure, but New Orleans got 4, sure, but Tampa Bay 10, San Francisco 7, Atlanta 12. Definitely has the ability to do that. So I'm going to trust Tet at 7 targets there. JSN is hard not to trust, especially in this situation. Carolina, yeah, they've given up 21 to wide receivers, but is that more of a, they get the score run up on them so they don't really throw the ball? I think that's the case. 92 yards seems to be pretty realistic here. He's basically done it all the time except for Minnesota. Going to take JSN at that higher at 92 yards. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility here. I like this guy. I love Shaheed. Loved him in New Orleans, but he's just been inconsistent here. Looked like he was gaining momentum here with Darnold in Atlanta and Indy, but that Rams game shut him down. So this week, not going to touch Shaheed. So I'm just going to stick with the 3. These would be the 3 I like. Again, changing Tet to that 7, but these 3 I feel like are pretty solid. Could be done this week. No real issues. So let's go ahead and stick with those for my 3 favorites of this game. And let's move on to the ultimate Tampa Bay Miami, the Florida game of the week. So let's look at Tampa Bay. 3rd most points to quarterback, 12th to running back, 16th to wide receiver, 7th to tight end. And for Miami, 9th to quarterback, 11th to running back, 23rd to wide receiver, 2nd to tight end. This is going to be fun to play, isn't it? This is just going to be one of those matchups that's just so fun to just try to dissect. 11th to running back. It's not their weakness, but I like Bucky Irving. Man's had a rough season. Had a very rough season, getting hurt, not being consistent, but I don't believe that's his fault, obviously. He's set right now at 61 yards. Did it against Carolina. I still like it. I still like Bucky this week. I'm going to take him at that 61. So far, that's my favorite play of the week. We're going to lock that in for him. But Miami's decent against wide receiver. But again, is that a situation where they, get the score run up on them so they don't throw as much? Probably. I like this tight end, discrepancy for them because I like Cade Otton. I feel like Otton is always that sneaky guy that, gets his touches, gets what he needs done. He always kind of comes up big in games, but it's just hard. I don't know why Baker doesn't target him more. Because those 3 receptions look very good. I definitely think it's doable. I'm going to take it. It's a bit risky because, again, it's one of those matchups where on paper it looks like this should be a slam dunk, but his production lately has been scary, but I still am going to trust him at that 3 receptions. So we're going to go ahead and trust that. But we always want to look at our man, Devon Achane. He is what the Dolphins' offense is entirely right now. Tampa Bay is a little mid on the running back. So what are we looking at for him? 107.5. So we're looking at 108 yards. That's high. I think that's high. I'm going to take the 17 rushing attempts. Washington, New Orleans, they were able to do it. Look at when his production dips. I mean, obviously outside of the Jets game here. But when his production dips... Let's drop it. Can we drop it to 14.5 and still get that bonus? Yeah. All right. That's where I'm at there. Let's get the 15 rushing attempts. I think that's definitely doable for him. So we're going to lock that in and trust him there. Now, I do want to take one of these quarterbacks because both teams seem to be very bad against the quarterback. More so, it looks like the Buccaneers give up more points to the quarterback, which scares the living hell out of me because that means I have to trust Quinn Ewers. If they give him a line. Okay. If it was 1 TD, I'd be like, I'll take that. But 1.5 passing. No, I'm not going to risk it. Those are the 3. Those 3 I'm looking at and I'm trusting right there. Those are the hires I like. Just because 2 TDs just seems like a tall task, but because Tampa Bay is giving up so many points, it could be one of those weeks where it just happens. So let's move on to Pittsburgh, Cleveland. So we're looking at Pittsburgh, 7th most to quarterback, 25th to running back, 7th to wide receiver, 4th to tight end. And as for the Cleveland Browns, 29th to quarterback, 15th to running backs, 27th to wide receiver, and 20th to tight end. Overall here, we are looking at their total defense. Browns are 2nd, and Steelers look to be 28th. And for passing defense, Browns are 1st, Steelers are 30th. Rushing defense, the Browns are 14th. The Steelers are 15th. Okay. So, definitely places we want to look here. But we also want to look here because he has lost DK Metcalf. They are appropriately giving him 184.5. I'm taking the lower. I'm taking the lower on Aaron Rodgers for that because who is his number 1 receiver? They're not even giving me one, really. Like, you look at Jonnu Smith, maybe? Adam Thielen, which are not even giving you yards at this point? I mean, I do not see this being a very pass-heavy game. I mean, a pass attempt, sure, but I do not see a lot of success here with this situation at all. But let's look at the Steelers for tight end. 4th most points. So that gives me hope in the Browns in one man and one man only, and that is Fannin. He has had great weeks. He looks like a great option for Shedeur to throw to. 14 targets, 11 targets. I'm going to take the receptions at 5. I think he can do that. Especially against a team that is very bad against the tight end. So, 5 receptions seems like very doable there, and I'm going to trust him there. Is Shedeur even playing? I don't even see the man. I didn't see him pop up. Yeah, there he is. I was going to say, I didn't even see him pop up on the injury report, so that would be shocking. It's hard to trust that, too. Yeah, so you look at the Steelers, and you feel like it should just be plug and play all these guys. But I don't want to say I don't trust Shedeur. It's just they did not set him up for success this year. He has had up and down games. 178 just seems way too achievable. He is way too talented to not hit that, but then he hasn't hit it in 3 weeks. But it's going against a very bad Steelers pass defense. .364 against Tennessee. He was able to do that. That's a very bad pass defense. Where is Titans at that? Let's just see. Giving up the 8th most to quarterbacks, and they still... I'm going to trust them. Buffalo, get right game. Showing, okay. Chicago, good defense. Steelers, not that they have bad defense, but they give a lot of points to quarterback. I'm going to trust Shedeur at that 179 and lock that in, just because, again, defense is that bad that I do trust they can do it. I don't see the Steelers doing a lot. Why is this man not getting more work? I just don't understand it. Samson's been good. But he's been hurt. Yeah, I think those are 3. I think these 3 are the safest ones here. I'm putting money on this, so yeah, these would be the 3 I'm comfortable spending my hard-earned American dollars on. So let's go ahead and remove those. Move that. New Orleans, Tennessee. So looking at New Orleans. 26th to quarterback, 16th to running back, 26th to wide receiver, 21st to tight end. As for the Titans, we were just looking at them. 8th to quarterback, 14th to running back, 11th to wide receiver, 17th to tight end. This is going to be one of those games that is just toilet bowl, basically. I'm going to say it, toilet bowl. Now, Saints are in a much better situation than the Titans are. Saints have a realistic opportunity next year to be a threat in the NFC South. This year, however, it's been not great. They've won some games, but this man definitely looks like a great option for them. And he's been performing very, very well. 220 just seems way too low for him. Especially because he's hit it almost every week, especially with its Titans defense being this bad. I like that, and I'm going to pair him with Chris Olave. Looking at 9 targets. Gotten it a lot. Going against a bad team. Going for that. Now, looking at the Saints here. 26th quarterback, 16th to running back, 26th wide receiver, 21st to tight end. Against this team, there's not a lot I like. I'm just trying to even look and see if there's anything I like on Cam. No, there's really not. I'm looking at you, Mr. Sly. I like that field goals made. I like those field goals made. Only been making one, but I just can't explain it. I have a feeling today those field goals made, that's where it's at. Those would be my 3 in this. Just because, again, it's a toilet bowl. It is not a game that I'm looking forward to and having a ton of confidence in. So we're going to go ahead and, try to get out there minimally scathed. The most exciting game on the slate this week. Let's look at the Jags at the Colts. Colts are fighting for the playoff lives. Jags are fighting for the division. With a win today, I think the Jags clinch the division unless they lose to unless they lose to the Titans next week, which I don't see happening. So the Jags, this is basically for the division. Colts, this is for the playoffs. They're both playing for a lot. So let's just look at JT. Took a hard, sad week last week, but other than that, been okay. Let's just look at his numbers. Let's just look at Jacksonville versus Colts. Okay. Okay, so this is a game that Daniel Jones got hurt. So, JT got 74 yards. Pierce got 80. 21 carries and a touchdown. So that's what his past performance was, and that's basically where they got him at this week. I think they're going to rely on him a lot more, so I'm going to take that 75 just because, again, that's when they had Riley Leonard. They now have Phillip Rivers, who is more experienced, obviously, but I still think they're going to have to rely on JT to get those touches, to get into the yards, to open up the passing game for Phillip Rivers. Let's just even look at his work since Phillip Rivers has gotten there. 87. Again, San Francisco 46 saved the day with a touchdown, but it's the Niners. I'm going to chalk that up to, as you will. Looking at Jacksonville as a whole, they do give up the least amount of points to running back here. I don't care. It's JT. I trust JT. The Jags are 12th against quarterback, 13th against wide receiver, and 10th against tight end. As for the Colts, 16th to quarterback, 22nd to running back, 5th to wide receiver, and 6th to tight end. So, it makes you look at Jacoby Myers and Brian Thompson a little different. Jacoby appears to be the new target for Trevor Lawrence. Going to take that 8. 10, 7, 8. He's obviously been consistently looking this man's way as an option. I'm going to trust it here. Again, the Colts lost Sauce Gardner, who was supposed to be their big cornerback number 1 a few weeks ago. So I don't see a lot here that can cover their wide receiver 2. Brian Thompson, or Brian, I keep saying Thompson. It's Thomas, Jesus. So Brian Thomas, on the other hand, he has been the definition of inconsistent. In a game that I thought he would get a lot of work in Denver, barely got anything. They're not even giving him targets at this point. So I'm going to trust Jacoby way more in this situation. Now, again, looking at the weaknesses of the Jags, it's either tight end or wide receiver. Luckily, we have a tight end who is a beast, and he's still liked by Phillip Rivers. I'm going to take that 6.5 targets right there. Again, check down option for Rivers, great option. Opens up the game for JT. Going to go ahead and trust that. Now, the question is where do we want to go here? Do we want to trust Phillip Rivers? Or do we want to trust Trevor Lawrence? Lawrence has been on a tear lately. Again, I am somebody who will admit for a while I did not think he was going to hit the levels that people are projecting him to hit. Kind of had a lot of years to get going, and finally he's starting to produce at this level and win games. He's very good at that right now. In this matchup with a lot on the line, is he going to be able to continue this trend at 247 yards? I don't see why not. Again, throwing Tennessee out here. That's a game where, up a lot, still scored 21 fantasy points. Like, you had a good day. Don't need to keep throwing the ball. Last time they played Indy, 244. Again, let's look at that score. 36-16. When was it out of hand? At halftime. You now have Phillip Rivers, who's a little more experienced, has that experience. So I'm going to trust that 247. I think that's a way too low of a line right now in this game where it should be more of a shootout. Both teams have a lot going for them, a lot to play for, a lot to still happen. Going to trust this right now. So let's go ahead and move on from this game because these 4, I think, are the ones. That is probably my most confident one. Usually I try to go for the most confident, but that is pretty confident. That's pretty confident. That's pretty confident. That's the only one that I'm confident, but out of the 4, I'm pretty shaky on. But these all seem like very realistic options here. Do I do it? Do I pull the trigger on it? We'll wait. Just in case another small ticket really catches my eye. But those 4 are definitely the ones that I'm targeting this game. All right, Arizona at Cincinnati. This is a game where they have nothing to play for. So Arizona, 19th to quarterback, 3rd to running back, 20th to wide receiver, 8th to tight end. As for the Bungles, we have 5th to quarterback, 1st to running back, 29th to wide receiver, 1st to tight end. Unfortunately for the Cincinnati Bengals, the Cardinals have a very good tight end, and his name is Trey McBride, and he gets a lot of work, and he gets in the end zone a lot. I'm going to trust him to get in the end zone. This is my end zone of the week. He is my favorite to get in. Literally giving up the most points to tight ends, going against the most dangerous tight end in the league right now. If he doesn't get in the end zone, I'm going to be sad. It'll be a disappointing day. 7.5 receptions even seems so freaking low. Oh, 8.5 targets just seems so freaking low. I may double up on that. That is a beautiful ticket. Can I even do that? Let's just see. So no, I can't. So I like McBride for the touchdown. I really do. I think he is going to be a player that gets a lot of work tomorrow. So let's go back here. Let's look at the Cardinals here. See what they give up. Running back, or excuse me. Yeah, Cardinals for running back. So this looks like a Brown game. It looks like Chase could definitely get some work here, get in the end zone, get what he needs done. But let's just see what he's been doing lately. I don't hate that. Something he's achieved all but 1 week going against a very bad running back defense. I think this is definitely a chance for Chase Brown to break out, get some points here. Possibly win some fantasy championships for some people. So let's go ahead. Let's keep looking here. Turn the desktop audio off because I didn't even realize that was on. So I'm sorry if you've been hearing ads this entire time. That's my dumbass fault. Okay. So where were we? Cardinals. That's right. Okay. So they give up running back Chase Brown. Where do they got Joey B at? 265. Okay. Is this another game where he just comes out to show out that he is not, hating life anymore? He loves football, all those things that people are afraid that he keeps talking about? Or is this a game where, they just don't care because the season's over? It's hard to say. Just think that's a little too high for Joey B. I don't like that. Don't like that. Not that I want to take the lower, but just I don't like that. However, Michael Wilson has been a stud for them. And with the Bengals, they get up 29th fewest points to wide receivers. But that's okay because I don't need the points. I'm looking at the targets here. Against Atlanta, terrible. Houston, 11. Rams, 16. I know a lot of this came when Marvin Harrison Jr. was out, but even let's look at Marvin Harrison's numbers. 3 targets. Houston, he was out. Tampa, okay, he was in the Tampa Bay game, and he still got that much. So why is he reduced role? Let's just see. Again, I don't. Okay. I'm going to count that as a one-off. I like Michael Wilson at the targets here at 8. Again, when they get him involved, they'd have a much better week. So I like Michael Wilson there. What's Jamar's targets at? It's hard to not trust the man. He's got 10. Screw it. Let's go. Those would be my 4 here. It's hard not to trust Jamar. Trey McBride, I don't see how I don't trust him here. So let's go ahead. Move that there. Oh my God. Stop clicking on Trey. Okay. Remove all these. That would be my 4 here for the Arizona-Cincinnati game. And moving on to the last morning slate, Patriots at Jets. Patriots are still technically playing for the AFC 1 seed. Jets are playing for the number 1 pick. So, looking at the New England Patriots, 21st against quarterback, 31st against running back, 17th against wide receiver, 11th against tight end. As for the Jets, 11th against quarterback, 5th against running back, 19th against wide receiver, 13th against tight end. If you are looking to only build a Jets-Patriots ticket, I have some bad news for you. I'm not taking any Jets here. Their main weapon in Breece Hall is going against the 31st points allowed defense in running backs, and let's just see where they are in general. 6th against the rush. That's their best weapon. Is he a threat to catch the ball? Sure. I mean, 4 for 75, but outside of that, 2 for 8, 0, 2 for 14, 2 for 9. He's not going to be that check down threat. I don't like it. I don't like it whatsoever. So we are only going to be looking here at Patriots players for obvious reason. Just looking at everyone they're giving us numbers for here. I like Diggs. Again, going against a team that has 19th against wide receivers. And again, I don't think that's a reason that they're a good pass defense. I think that's more or less that they get the score run up on them and they stop getting the wide receiver. So I'm still going to take the targets there at 7. I like that for Diggs. Where is Henderson hurt? Okay, I guess Henderson is out. Or at least questionable. Let me see. There we go. He might play. Okay. He might play. So I'm going to avoid this for right now. Check back in the morning, because if Henderson's out, Stevenson's definitely somebody I'm going to be looking to get shares of. So keep an eye on that. But if Henderson plays, I want every piece of him. So let's just go ahead and skip the Jets and Patriots for now. All right, moving on to the New York Football Giants at the Las Vegas Raiders. Again, two teams playing for absolutely nothing. Giants have given up the 6th most points to quarterback, 4th to running back, 6th to wide receiver, and 28th to tight end. At least you can stop something. Las Vegas, 18th to quarterback, 9th to running back, 10th to wide receiver, 29th to tight end. So there's definitely some matchups here that I like. Starting with running back, they have to let this man loose. They have to let him touch the ball. They have to let him do that, because look what happens when he does. 128 yards and a touchdown against one of the best defenses in the league. 9 touches, 35, 10, 30, 15, 31, 17, 50. They need to let this man's engine start running, and I think this is going to be a game after an 128-yard performance that they finally let him go. So get that 72 yards against a very bad team that can't stop the run. Love it. Jackson Dart, this is a game for him to actually start getting more comfortable. They're still playing him despite the fact that they're playing for nothing. I mean, last week was an absolute disappointment. Can't lie. He busted a ticket. It sucks. But no one could foresee 33 yards against the Vikings defense. That's not possible, especially with he went 246 against the Commanders. That's just insane to me. I think this is a bounce back game for him, a way to get more comfortable. Giving up some points to the quarterback here and wide receiver. I like Jackson Dart this week to get those 2 TDs. I think this is a get right game for him, building up some confidence before we go into a long offseason, before they get a Malik Neighbors back, before they get Cam Scatterboo back, before that offense really starts getting all of its weapons back next year. They need him to be fully confident going into next season. These last 2 games are going to help with that. They need to focus on Jackson Dart 100%, make sure that he gets rid of the ball, gets comfortable, gets those touchdowns, builds up his confidence so that next year, when they do have a high draft pick and can either focus on defense a little more or give him another weapon to use, they're ready to go full force. Because the NFC East is definitely up for grabs next year. The Eagles didn't look as good as they did the year before, obviously. The Cowboys fell off, to say the least. The Commanders were a complete disappointment. I thought they were going to run the NFC East, but injuries to Daniels really ruined that. So with all of that said, they need Dart to really perform the last 2 weeks to get that confidence up. Now the question is where do they go from here? Because I want to pair this up here with a wide receiver or tight end. So let's just see. Raiders good against tight end, so I'm avoiding that. I'm looking at wide receiver. So who's his number one option? We're going to look at Wandell. The 9 targets is high. Definitely high. But I'll take it. 3 of the last 5 weeks, and then New England missed it by 1 in a game that basically this is the weakness of the Raiders. Let's hope and trust for this. Now on the Raiders side of the ball, because there's a lot to look at here and go, they can do that, they can do that, they can do that. Geno is not that bad of a quarterback. He's not great. He's not somebody who I'm going to like, oh yeah, the Raiders shouldn't draft a quarterback next year. But he is somebody who could get 204 on this team. I don't doubt that. 3 yards off it for against, again, a very good defense in Houston. Not able to do it against Denver there. Missed it on the Chargers, very good defense, but got it against the Browns, who are a very good defense. So 2 inconsistent in play. 204 yards seems doable. So these would be my 4 here. Again, playing for nothing, but a lot to prove, a lot to go into next season with. Focusing on those players that have a lot to do and a lot to prove. Because Geno, he could still be a backup somewhere. I don't think his career is done after this, but he needs to show he can actually do something against bad teams and win games. So this is a game where I think he's definitely going to get that and get his 204 and move on. All right, so that moves us on to Philadelphia at Buffalo. So looking at Philly here, 27th to quarterback, 10th to running back, 28th to wide receiver, 32nd to tight end. And as for the Buffalo Bills, 28th to quarterback, 6th to running back, 24th to wide receiver, and 31st to tight end. So you already know where we're looking here. We're looking at Saquon because the weakness of the Bills appears to be the run game. Saquon has caught on recently. 122, 78, 132, all on 20 touches. Again, 10, 13, can't even crack 55 yards, or 57 yards, excuse me. Once they get into those 20 range, cracking that, no problem. Like him for 82. Missed against the Raiders, sure, but again, one big run for him, he's got that. So I trust there. The question is do I trust James Cook? Yes, I do. Because they've given up the 10th most points to running backs, and he has been the Bills' offense. Let's be honest with ourselves. Look at this. 117, 107, 80, 144, 116. And he catches the ball. 13, 33, 31. We'll ignore New England there. 17. The 104 rushing receiving yards just seems like a great starting point. Because, again, he's hit that 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks just on rushing alone, and then hit it here with rushing and receiving. He's hit that every single week. I trust him to do it again, so I'm going to trust that 105 and just leave it there because, again, that is a weakness of the Eagles as well, giving up the 10th most points to running back. He is going to be Josh's best option, in my opinion. I like Josh Allen. I think he's a cool guy. Seems like a very nice dude. All those things. I don't know if I really trust him this week because, again, the Eagles have a very good defense. He is a matchup-proof guy, but his numbers have not been great. Cleveland 130, New England 193, and you got him at 200 even. Pittsburgh 123. I don't know about this, but I do like the 2 touchdowns. Again, kind of cold here, but then 3, 1, 0. This is going to be a game. Again, they're playing for playoffs. I don't know if they can actually catch. Can they catch the Patriots? Let me see. Because I don't believe they can, but I'm like 80% sure. So let me just see. Oh, no, they can. They can still definitely catch if New England loses. So they are playing for a lot here. So I think they are going to, especially with their last 2 games being very winnable games, they need that W. So I'm going to trust them here. Oh, no, that's the Patriots have winnable games. Who are the Bills playing next? Let me just see. Thought I clicked the Bills, not the Patriots. My bad. So who are the Bills' last 2 games? Eagles, Jets. Okay, so they have to win this game. So I think they are going to be throwing the ball a lot more. I'm going to trust Josh at that 2 touchdown. I think they're definitely going to do that just because of what is at stake for them here. They can definitely still win the division, get that home game. Going to Buffalo is a nightmare. So they definitely want that. So I'm going to trust that 2 passing touchdowns because let's just see. Out of everyone left in the standings, where are the cold weather cities left? Playoff. There we go. Okay. So of the AFC teams, cold, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, warm. If they can jump up to there and have to have these warm weather places go there, that's a huge advantage for Buffalo. So they have a lot to play for still. So yeah, Josh for those 2 touchdowns definitely seems doable. As for the Eagles, we already got Saquon there. It is hard to trust either of these receivers because it's inconsistent. Devontae got some more last week. Definitely looked good. AJ started the season terribly, and he's starting to catch on now outside of that Vegas game because I think he got hurt. Did he get hurt? Possibly. But let's go ahead and trust AJ here with the 8 because, again, outside of the Raiders game, he's eclipsed that. So these would be the 4 here that I really like and that I would lock in if I'm just doing that. But for my big ticket, I'm looking at those 4 right now. Okay. Sunday night, Chicago at San Francisco. I'm not sure about it, honestly. There's a lot here that I like. There's a lot that I don't. I'm not going to touch the Sunday night and Monday night games just because I'm not sure about it. So let's go ahead and apply this 50% boost. Let's build our tickets here. So how do I want to do this? Do I want to include Saturday? I'll do Saturday will be my big ticket. So let's just focus at the Sunday morning. So Seattle, Carolina, which ones do we like? I like the Kenneth Walker here. I think that's solid. I think that is a good to go. I think he's going to get that. Tampa Bay at Miami. Out of the ones I like, it's hard to say. I like Achan. I just really like him this week. So yeah, he is their offense. I'm going to go with Achan. I know he needs at least 3 picks. Give me a dang second, okay? So, Pittsburgh, Cleveland. I like my guy here to get his yards. Really like him. I really do. Fuck it. 47 yards against one of the worst tight end defenses. So Fannin. I like Shuck. $221. I like that. Okay, so we need 4 more out of this morning slate here, and we have 3 games, so we're going to double up on some. So I like Jacoby to get his targets. I like Tyler Warren to get his targets because he's been getting them pretty consistently with Phillip. I don't know how you don't, especially when you had Antonio Gates for as many years as Phillip Rivers did, so that should definitely be an option there. Okay, so we need 2 more with 2 games left. Arizona, Cincinnati. Just so risky to hit it, but I think I will get the touchdown. No, targets. I'm talking myself out of the touchdown. I like the targets better. And then lastly, New England at the Jets. Stephon Diggs to get his targets. So with the profit boost, we're going to do this $5 wager for the morning slate to win $442. This is what we are locking in for that morning slate. Boom, we got all 8 there. So let's go ahead and build our afternoon slate now. A lot less to go on here with just 2 games. So I'm not actually going to do that because that would be, yeah, we can do it. Why not? Rushing, Dart for his 2, Wandale for his targets, and Gino for his, those 4, and then Philly Buffalo. Again, I liked all of these, so we can definitely do this. Josh for 200, Cook for his rushing and receiving, and A.J. Brown for his targets as well. We'll do a 40% profit boost on this. $5 for $533.60. And we're confirming locking that in. I already used that 40%. Never mind. Can I use 50%? Did I use that already? Okay, I've used both promos. I don't know why they keep offering it to me then. All right, so just $5 for $382 to win. Boom, locking that in. All right, so now let's build the big slate of all the games we talked about, the ones I like the best. So we are going to look here at Kaimi Fairbairn. That one, getting 2 field goals, I think is definitely doable there. Hampton getting those rush yards, I also think is doable. So those 2, Baltimore, Green Bay. Again, I think they're going to have to run the ball through Josh Jacobs. They're going to have to rely on him. Just hard to trust. Again, I don't trust everything in that game, so we're going to move on from that, especially since we took 2 in that. Okay, let's try not to double dip here. We're going to try to get matchups that we like that we didn't do in the other tickets, because that way if one doesn't hit, doesn't ruin every single ticket. So let's take JSN for those yards. Tampa Bay, Miami will skip. Pittsburgh, Cleveland. T-Law over 250. I like him over 250, so I'll take that 247. Arizona Cincy. Okay, we're going to take some guys that I didn't take. 53 yards, because again, going against a terrible run defense, Chase should definitely get this done. All right, we're going to leave everyone else alone, because we still have some more games. Not touching that one. This is where some double dipping will happen. A lot of faith in Genty this week, which scares the living hell out of me. Okay, so let's look at these other games we skipped. Tampa Bay, Miami. Let's take 61 yards. I'll trust Bucky for that. And Pittsburgh, Cleveland. Well, they're not even giving your running backs anything. I hate it. I hate that I'm doing it, but it's the only one I really like. Okay, $5, 316 even. That is our big ticket for the weekend right there. So we got Fairbairn, Hampton, JSN, Trevor Lawrence, Chase Brown, Ashton Genty, Bucky Irvin, and Shador Sanders, all on the hires. Those are our 3 tickets, everybody. Make sure you use my code TJS at sign up to get that $100 bonus on a $5 wager when you sign up using my code TJS at Underdog Fantasy. Make sure you follow me on X at @_Justin Sports. Sorry, I keep messing that up. At @Justin Sports. That's where I do a lot of talking. Talk a lot of shit to people, but it's fun, all in good fun. So make sure you follow me there. Ask me any questions you have there. Follow me on this YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. And until next weekend, everyone, have a good one and good luck. The worst part of the stream is when you have to hit stop recording.